Yeah, good to go. I think we are online now. So, hello everyone. I would like to introduce today Mary Burrell, and I'm here with Mary. Yeah, Mary, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm also and super excited for the for your session as well as everyone, I'm going to introduce here Mary. Mary is the VP of Growth Strategy at FutureThink, as well as she is a passionate growth strategist and digital marketer. She also worked with the leading companies such as Pfizer, Google, and P&G. Today, Mary is going to speak about. Yes, Mary. Today, Mary is going to speak about growth hack your career with power skill. So, Mary, stage is all yours. I'll be joining you when your Q&A round will be there. So, guys, please put your questions under Q&A session. We will have a Q&A session after the presentation. So, yeah, Mary, see you then.
Thank you so much. And hi from New York City. I'm so excited to be here today. Thank you so much for having me. I know for most of us, it's been a long day, but I hope you have some energy left to talk with me today about power skills. Before we get started, I would love to invite you to take your phone or tablet or open up a second screen and go to menti.com and type in the code on the slide that you see right now. This will allow you to interact and chime in and vote for the questions that I have for you. You will see that code again later on other slides, but if you have a second, go to menti.com and type in that code. So today we'll talk about power skills, what they are, why they're so important for you as a job seeker or as a team leader. Plus, I will leave you with some tips, tricks, and work hacks that you can try yourself or also with your team. All I'm asking you is to connect with me afterwards, give me your feedback, let me know how it went. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn or you can visit our booth later on and I will be happy to answer any questions. I'm going to give you a quick idea of what we do here at FutureThink first. We are an accelerated learning company that transforms how teams work in organizations such as Google, Dell, Pfizer, or even AT&T. FutureThink has been around for almost a decade, so we have a pretty good understanding how learning and development has changed over time. And of course, we've been here for the last 2 years, so we witnessed the rapidly shifting priorities and skill building during this pandemic. We have focused on building power skills for quite a while now because we know how immensely they drive success and growth in businesses, but also for people personally in their own career. But before we discuss what power skills even are and which ones are currently the most sought after, I would like to challenge you to answer my next question with your gut, instinctively. What are your most powerful skills in your career? What makes you an impressive team leader or a great employee? If you haven't done so yet, please go to menti.com and type in the code at the top of the slide, which is 528165. And then answer the question. What are your power skills? What makes you an impressive team leader or a great employee? Oh, listening. Great. That's a very good answer. It's funny because when you ask people what they think it takes to be a great developer, a lot of people say, oh, a developer needs to speak so and so many coding languages. But if you ask them what they personally think their biggest power skills are, people never say JavaScript. I asked my husband, who is a professional boxer, and he didn't say, oh, my left hook is my greatest power skill. He answered resilience and adaptability, actually. So leadership and listening, yes, most definitely two great, very good skills. Keep chiming in. I will get all of your answers. I can see them later on as well. Let's talk about the definition of power skills. What are power skills? Power skills don't relate to what work you do, but how you work. Let me explain this with the T-shaped people analogy. T-shaped people are successful in their career because they possess both job-specific skills as well as power skills. The job-specific skills are the base of the T. They are IT knowledge or coding skills. Those skills are important for you as a job seeker, as well as for hiring managers to find a person for like a specific job or a task. But the horizontal line of the T are the power skills. And those are the skills that determine how well you're able to use your job-specific skills in the first place. They will advance you in a career and they will differentiate you. They will land you the job if you are compared to somebody who has very similar job-specific skills. They are also what hiring managers are looking for when they try to build a particularly successful team. Previously, we've referred to these kind of skills as soft skills, but given that they're so important to drive success and growth in people's careers, we're now referring to them as power skills. So what are actual examples of such power skills? And what skills are employers looking for right now? According to the latest LinkedIn Learning Workplace report, the following power skills are the most sought after right now in no specific order. You ready? Creativity, collaboration, resilience and adaptability, time management, leading through change, communication, emotional intelligence, and dealing with stress and being mindful. Very important one, especially during this pandemic. But yeah, why should you care about this as a job seeker? Because nobody wants to hire a very smart marketer if she isn't able to manage her own time or collaborate with the team, or if she throws in the towel at the first sign of difficulties. Also, the clients that we are working with right now are actively looking for these power skills. Now, when you see these skills, and I've narrowed them down a little bit here, what do you think is the number one power skill right now? If you haven't done so yet, go to menti.com and type in the code at the top of the slides and vote. What do you think is the most sought after power skill right now? Okay, we've got a lot of people apparently say resilience and adaptability. Okay, it's 50-50 now. Okay, leading through change, communication. Okay, keep voting because I can see all of these answers again later on as well. And it's always interesting to me to see what people think. So according to learning and development experts this year, the most important power skill, the most sought after skill is, are you ready? Drum roll. Resilience and adaptability. So to give you some perspective, before the pandemic, the most sought after power skills were creativity and persuasion. So it doesn't really come as a surprise that resilience is so important, given that the last 2 years were so volatile and complex. This shift in which power skills are most important right now isn't just a theoretical concept, right? A lot of our clients are actively changing their entire learning and development strategies because they realize that these new set of skills are so important to future-proof their companies and to drive growth and success. So for example, our client Dell was concerned that people wouldn't be able to be productive at home when the managers aren't present. So they're training their teams to be more inspired, curious, and unbossed, meaning they want their team members to be more empowered to make decisions even when the manager isn't present. Dell focuses on training the employees in creative problem solving, and we're helping Craft to boost resilience and agility in their teams. So that's all very interesting. But you might wonder now, hold on, how can I show that I have power skills? And we all possess some power skills more so than others. But how can you show that you have power skills? Power skills are not as easy to identify sometimes as job-specific skills, right? It's easy to see if somebody has a degree in marketing. It may not be so easy to see if they are a good communicator or if they're resilient, especially on a resume. So applicants, please make everybody's life easier and include that on your resume. Your resume should already have a summary section at the top, but you can also add a whole section just for power skills, or you can call them interpersonal skills if you prefer that. If you don't have the space for that, then weave in power skills into your summary. If you are adaptable or maybe even agile and you handle stress well, then you can say that. You could say something like, I'm an extremely fast learner and I thrive in competitive environments and I love challenging assignments. If that's the case, then write that. Also, let's take the most sought after power skill, resilience or adaptability, as an example. What shows that someone is resilient or adaptable? For hiring managers, in a resume, look out for clues that an applicant is willing to learn new skills and willing to pivot if a challenge arises. What does that mean for you as an applicant? If you've successfully dealt with changing priorities in a previous job position, then include that on your resume, especially if you've proactively pivoted because you saw the need for it. You could write something like, you've initially been hired to develop a platform, but you very quickly proposed a new user experience strategy because you saw the need for it. And that drove user acquisition by 40%. Also, hiring managers don't just ask about success stories. Ask about difficult times and how applicants have dealt with them. And interviewers prepare a few examples to be able to respond to such negative questions, such as like, you have helped develop a program and in its first test, it failed miserably. What's your next move? Also, instead of only asking interviews, tell me about a time question. We do that a lot. Why don't you ask them what if questions? Ask how they would deal with a future scenario. So for example, you could ask, which external changes could threaten our industry? And how would you deal with them if they arise? As an interviewee, if you haven't been asked these kind of questions, but you want to show that you are adaptable and resilient, prepare a few of these what if scenarios and examples, and then bring them up proactively in your interview. We actually have a tool here at FutureThink called Interview Questions for Hiring Innovators that I think would be a good tool here for this. So if you want to get that tool, just reach out to me after the speech or visit our booth and I can share it with you if you'd like. Let's use another most sought after power skill as an example, communication skills. Hiring managers, good communicators listen well, and they can show that they've understood an assignment. So find out if applicants understand what's asked of them by checking if they use the language from your job ad. And interviewers, I understand you may not have the time to change your resume for every single application, but this is such a great way to stand out. It's an easy way to stand out. If you are a great communicator, and the job is asking for strong verbal communication skills, then say or write exactly that, especially if you think that the company that you're applying for is using a resume scanning software. Your resume will score higher if it uses the exact same language. Even the software knows. Also, quality over quantity. More communication isn't better communication. And that's especially important for chatty people like me. So take a minute to relax, calm down before your interview, before you write an email or before you jump on a phone call, right? Think about what you want to say first. What's your number one message? We here at FutureThink teach something called BLUF, bottom line up front. What do you ultimately want to say? Say that first, and then elaborate if even necessary. Same goes for written communication. Nobody wants to read 5 pages of endless email text. Nobody wants that. So really make sure that you structure your written communication into easily digestible and understandable sections. And use a free software like Grammarly to check your spelling and your grammar, especially when you're like me and you're building your career in a different language than your own mother tongue. Also, hiring managers, look out for great questions. Being a good communicator includes the ability to formulate and ask great questions. So for you as an applicant, having no questions for the interviewer prepared or only asking yes or no question shows a lack of interest and communication skills. So prepare a few very good questions ahead of time. Just make sure that you listen very actively throughout the interview process so that you don't bring up a question that the interviewer has already answered throughout the process. Now, this is very important for hiring managers to hear. This goes both ways. Your power skills as a leader and your company's willingness to foster and build power skills in their teams is something that applicants are looking for right now, especially since the pandemic. So we've discussed how you can show power skills in the interview process, but how do you build them? How do you become a better communicator? Or how do you become more adaptable? That's exactly what we do here at FutureThink with our corporate clients, not with individuals, but with businesses, right? We have a bunch of exercises, online courses, workshops, and tools that build power skills. But we only have 20 minutes here today, so I picked one exercise that I believe is a true all-around power skill builder, and that's asking killer questions. I hope you'll inspire to try this practice with your teams or even before your next interview. Asking killer questions is such a great all-around power skill builder because it improves several things at once. It improves your ability to make decisions, your creative problem solving and adaptability. It'll make you more innovative because you will come up with new exciting solutions. And it enhances your leadership abilities because you will positively challenge your teams. And it will make you a better communicator. So what makes a great killer question? Killer questions are open-ended. They're not just yes or no questions. So they really give us something to think about. They're also simple. They're not a multi-part question. You know those people that ask you a question and then they add a question and add a question, and at the end you don't know which question to answer? That's not a killer question. A killer question is simple. Killer questions are also provocative. They really force us to think before we answer. And they consider negative and positive angles. What does that mean? Starbucks, for example, wanted to appeal more to pet owners. So they asked people who hated pets a couple of questions. Why? Because they wanted to appeal to pet owners, but not alienate people that don't like pets. So they ask non-pet owners things like, what would we have to do to make it okay for you to come to our stores if pets are present? So considering negative and positive angles. Let's take a typical question as an example. A typical interview question is, what's your company culture like? Pretty uninspired, right? I mean, I've heard this question so many times, I can tell you. How about if your company won an HR award, what would it celebrate and why? That's just a quick idea, but we do these kind of question storms with companies all the time. If you have some time tonight, sit down and prepare a few killer questions for your next interview. Or if you're a team leader and you would like to set up a guided question storm, then please reach out to me after this talk.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So today we've learned that power skills are important. They drive success and growth in your career and in your business. But what's the one thing I want to give you guys to think about at the end here? The most important thing is that you don't just learn power skills once. Power skills require continuous effort over time. And as we've learned today, their importance also changes over time. So keep reflecting, keep practicing, and keep training your teams. Thank you so much. And I hope that you could take something away from this talk today. And please feel free to reach out to me, to connect with me, and visit our virtual booth afterwards if you have any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, Mary, your session is quite amazing, actually. I especially have learned a lot. And I love that concept of T-shaped people. So I'm sure we also have some questions here. And I would love to share with all attendees here. Please visit their booth. And I'm just going to show some questions on stage. We have many questions, but due to the short time, I will be just showing a few questions. Yeah, so the one which is on our screen is like, what question would you ask a more junior profile with less work experience? Rose
Yes.
is having this query.
Yes, no, I mean, to be fair, that's a great question. I feel like when I spoke about asking what if questions, that's a great example for junior people that may not have that much experience and cannot tell you or give you as many examples of what they've done in previous situations. And I think if you ask them what if questions and about future scenarios and how they would deal with that, with these kind of things that come up, then you would see if they're adaptable, if they're innovative, and if they're inventive, right?
Amazing. Yeah. So yes, I have another question I'm showing on the stage, and that question is how to answer questions in an interview when you don't know the answer. Yes, and which is the best ways to handle such a situation. Yes, Mary, please help in this question,
Yes,
especially.
no, it's very refreshing actually as
Yeah.
an interviewer when somebody says that they are not quite sure how to answer
Mhm.
this question because they don't know, but they are willing to look that up or try and find a solution for that. Also, to be quite fair, I think what happens most of the times is that you're just nervous and you blank. You just cannot answer that question because you're so nervous. So, as an interviewee, take a second, relax and breathe, and try to think, just try to find a possible scenario, find a possible answer, but take a second to think about it first.
Okay, that's yes, you're right. So that's important. And yes, if anyone wants to join Mary on stage and have a direct interaction with her, that's a chance. And yes, after that also you can interact with her on booth. And I think we can continue now directly on meeting with her on her booth. So I'm going to take a break now and let's continue at a booth and as well as next session. See you guys for the next session. And
Thank,
Mary, thanks again for such a wonderful time and all these informative talk.
thank you. It was a pleasure. Bye.
Bye bye.